Brother bartender, we are seizing your vodka to prevent the exploitation of the working class. We must seize the means of production.
On this glorious day, we shall celebrate the famed and glorious ascension of our God-given leader by starting our own beer hall push. I shall break you like Kristallnacht, unless you shall surrender your lager to me, like Chamberlain, spreading Europe's legs to fascism. What is this Peacewasser? I demand an actual drink.
The tempest, the sun of freedom shone to us, and the great land illuminated our path. We were raised by Stalin to be true to us.
Great fiend, you have returned. What kind of bourgeoisie blasphemy is this? It is clear that this book has no respect for authority figures. Massot is scum. First, he shows no gratitude to his beloved mother, and then he immediately starts a sexual liaison with a femme fatale. Massot symbolizes the greedy selfishness of the individual, while his mother symbolizes the glorious motherland, the all-powerful, benevolent government. By having Massot cruelly disregard his mother by canoodling with Marie, Camus wants the reader to realize how individualism leads to instability in the homeland. Based on this symbolism, Meursault shows no loyalty to the state. He only cares about satisfying his libido instead of gloriously sacrificing all his blood and time for the motherland. Therefore, Meursault must be sent to the gulags to do 15 years of re-education and hard labor.
To what extent is he scum? Meursault is simply being logical. Meursault's mother, like all women, is merely just an overglorified factory for producing children. Woman exists to serve our nation through the three Ks: Kinder, Küche, Kirche. Since the mother is old, she has already fulfilled her role to the French Empire. Therefore, she must be cast away. Camus has the mother die as a way to tell his readers that old women are expendable members of society. Albert Camus is clearly an aspiring French fascist. He believes that his lecherous countrymen have spent too much time frolicking with old dead women instead of utilizing their latent sexual energy on more fertile women to increase the size of France's abysmal military, of which I remember fondly. Therefore, Camus has Meursault mess around with Marie in order to instill some much needed virility back into the lazy French.
Sorry to interrupt this insightful philosophical debate, but I think the commie is right for the wrong reasons. Meursault is a scum because he has an apathetic attitude towards his mother. Camus portrays Meursault, the epitome of an existentialist, as a character who lacks the ability to form emotional ties with people. According to my stance on morality, Meursault is not fit for civilized society because he just doesn't give a damn about the people in his life. Simply put, Meursault doesn't belong here since he is aware of the Sisyphean nature of life, that life is just an endless toil of monotonous chores. Though Meursault might seem somewhat enlightened due to his recognition of the inherent meaning of life, he is ultimately an apathetic fool due to his refusal to generate any purpose for himself. Most people aren't radical existentialists. Most people are emotional creatures who self-aggrandize themselves, which in layman's terms mean that people see themselves as special snowflakes. These self-delusional commoners may seem foolish, but they are just content with being alive. They are alive because they work towards their dreams and are not concerned with higher level philosophy. They are confined by their own crafted purpose, which may sound short sighted, but it is actually meaningful. If everyone simply followed their personal ambitions and does not overcomplicate themselves with higher level philosophy, then society will transcend to its full potential.
Aha! I was right. So that means the empty void of life must be given direction by the government.
No, it means that we have to stand up to the society created by the weak, degenerate masses in order to ascend into Ubermensch.
Stand up? Like Merceau and his belief in Texas's excessive stand your ground laws. Well, clearly, the Second Amendment is a joke. Merceau has a revolver for like 5 seconds in his hand. And what do you think he does? Ah, the gun is only an instrument of killing. And why is that gun in an obviously unstable man's arms or in anyone else's hands? He shoots a defenseless man multiple times just because some light glinted in his eyes by murdering the Arab for no reason. Merceau is living proof that man needs a supreme government to control the anarchic impulses of men. Through the depiction of Merceau's trigger-happy nature, Camus argues the need of an assertive government, a caring nanny state that will defang its citizenry and prevent them from degenerating into bloodthirsty chimpanzees.
Ha! Retarded ready. That means Marcel is a good little fascist. He is taking the advancement of his nation into his own hands. The Arabs must be corralled from agitating for independence from the French Empire. The first shot represents the bullet of fear being ingrained in the natives. The next 4 shots at the Ishmaelite are the final nails in the coffin to make sure that the Arab's family would grovel before the glory of the French Empire.
You ignorant peasants need to stop pushing an agenda through Marcel's actions. The real reason is simple. In the first part of the book, Marcel can be characterized as a passive existentialist. But his philosophy gradually intensifies after the first bullet is fired. While Marcel contemplates on the weight of the revolver, he realized that you could either shoot or not shoot. Since there is no significant rationale behind his first shot at the Arab, because in Marcel's perspective, firing the trigger held the same relevance as going to work, to the funeral, or other events in his life. The first bullet was simply a random occurrence, an event that spontaneously occurred as the trigger gave. It is similar to an automatic jerk motion in a muscle when the doctor checks your knee. But after the first shot, Marcel takes control of his current actions, firing the revolver 4 more times. A new person is born. A man who was previously not alive, but is now vitalized by fully embracing his philosophy. The first shot is like the first clap you give after a morning performance. But after that first clap, you continue clapping. The clapping has no meaning. Instead, you are drawn into the idea of clapping and must continue to do so. You might not know why are you clapping, as this bland performance certainly does not entail clapping. It is just a random, societal enforced reflex. You continue because you are entranced by the idea. Marcel shoots the Arab because there is ultimately only one action to take with the gun, which is to shoot the bullet, like a bored theatergoer who continues to.
Alright, whatever. Surely you people all sympathize with Marcel's stance on religion.
Yes, reading the Bible is a sin. No matter how much of a detestable ingrate Merceau is, he still has the common sense to stave off bourgeois superstition. As such, this can be viewed that Camus is disdainful for these colonial missionaries with the goal of saving people, but instead just terrorize them in prison. It is strange, but expected of these cruel priests of the tyrannous church. that they try to instill fear into people with the threat of death consummating into their satanic ritual, and giving them heresy that there is a higher power than the state. Everyone knows that the state is supreme and totemic to none. The true shepherd is our wise and generous leader who will convert and persuade the non-believers successfully, as shown by the Sekushka success rate.
I believe that religion is just a tool to be used. The Bible has some good ideas. God's unforgiving, hard nature in the Old Testament should be emulated in the way we brutalize the natives in our colonies. Telling our soldiers that God is on our side would make them easier to manipulate. But Jesus, the cuck's teachings on loving thy enemy reeks of libtard pacifism. We must sideline the communist New Testament and cherry-pick ideas from the glorious Old Testament in order to create a new set of fascist commandments. But the glory of the nation must always take first priority over Christianity. By having Marcel distance himself from religion, Camus orders his countrymen to have their nationality be the core of their identity.
In this case, it is the fascist who is right, but like the communists for the wrong reasons. As a philosopher who is neither religious nor atheist, Camus believes that religion should become a tool to help people get closer to the truth. But it must not be a way of life. Marceau angrily fights against religion because his existentialist values force him to focus on the present instead of the afterlife. In his mind, there is no afterlife. In an existentialist perspective, a realistic, scientific, and metaphysical perspective, the human mind is just a series of electrical impulses. Marcel owns each moment, leaving him with absolutely no regrets. He embraces life rebelliously, which empowers him to fully become himself. To many people, religion purifies their sins, creating multiple illusions, encouraging them to embrace life's challenges and advance towards their life goals. But to Marceau, religion is futile because he does not require any external motivation to continue and experience life. As a result, he views the priest's indoctrination as a waste of his last precious moments to fully experience life.